1. These are the saltiest lakes to ever exist on Earth. Saltier than the Dead Sea. Saltier than any ocean you have ever known. But the terrifying part lies not in the numbers but in the consequences. Because just by touching them, almost everything will die instantly. With no sound, no warning signs, no chance to turn back, just a seemingly normal layer of water that is actually the boundary between life and death. The strange thing is that they are not alive. They do not hunt. They do not move. Yet they can kill any creature that accidentally enters. So what created these pools of death deep at the bottom of the ocean? Why is just one wrong step enough to end everything? And what really happens to the unfortunate creatures when they slip past that invisible boundary? These deadly pools of water are called brine pools. They are not a new phenomenon but have existed for millions of years, since before humans even appeared. And amazingly, they may outlast our civilization. At first glance, you might find it very confusing. How can a lake exist inside an ocean that is already made of water? In reality, the ocean is not a uniform mass but is composed of multiple layers with different densities, temperatures, and chemical compositions. In most of the ocean, these layers mix gradually, making it hard to notice clear differences. However, in certain special places, the differences become so extreme that the water masses separate completely. Brine pools are a prime example of this phenomenon. The water inside these pools contains such high levels of salt and chemicals that its density is much greater than the surrounding seawater. This prevents it from mixing, causing it to separate into a distinct mass. Just like oil and water never mix. These pools are usually located in depressions on the seafloor, where they accumulate and form distinct surfaces. You can see boundaries that look like lake shores, and there are even gentle ripples on the surface, creating the illusion of a real lake sitting within the ocean. And it is exactly this seemingly harmless boundary that is the most dangerous place of all. What makes brine pools so terrifying is not just the massive amount of salt, but the combination of multiple deadly factors occurring simultaneously. First is the extremely high salt concentration, which can be many times that of normal seawater, making the water much thicker and heavier. But salt alone is not enough to explain their level of danger. The real issue lies in the fact that these pools do not mix with the surrounding water, which means oxygen cannot penetrate inside, creating an environment that is almost completely devoid of oxygen. Any creature that swims in will immediately fall into a state of severe hypoxia. Its brain will not receive enough oxygen to maintain function and will begin to shut down. This process happens so fast that within just a few seconds, the creature almost entirely loses control. But that is not all. The extreme salinity causes an osmotic effect that rapidly draws water out of the cells, causing them to shrink and suffer severe damage. At the same time, toxic chemicals like hydrogen sulfide present in the water will attack the nervous system, paralyzing the body. When all these factors occur at once, the result is an almost instantaneous death. A fish might be swimming normally along the seafloor, but the moment it crosses an invisible boundary, everything changes instantly. Its gills stop working, its cells begin to dehydrate, its nervous system is destroyed, and within seconds, it sinks to the bottom like countless other creatures before it. The scary part is that these pools have no clear warning signs. Their surface looks like a normal layer of water, causing many creatures to fail to recognize the danger until it is too late. If dying in a brine pool is terrifying enough, what happens afterward is even more bizarre. Normally, when a creature dies in the ocean, its body is quickly decomposed by bacteria and other organisms. However, in the environment of a brine pool, this process is almost entirely halted. The high salt concentration draws water out of the tissues through osmosis, while salt simultaneously penetrates the body, creating a natural mummification effect. Instead of decomposing rapidly, the creature's body is preserved for a very long time, potentially lasting from years to centuries. Salt crystals not only form on the outside, but can also infiltrate the tissues, replacing moisture and causing the body to become semi-mineralized, not quite stone, but no longer flesh either. Wounds on the body can be sealed by salt crystals, forming a natural seal. Combined with the oxygen-deprived environment and stable temperatures, biological and chemical reactions occur very slowly, essentially freezing the decomposition process in time. As a result, graveyards of creatures often appear around brine pools, where corpses are preserved in an almost intact state. Creating an extreme environment like a brine pool requires geological processes that span millions of years. One of the most common mechanisms begins with ancient seas that have evaporated. In the past, many areas on Earth were shallow seas containing massive amounts of dissolved salt. When the climate changed and water evaporated faster than it was replenished, these seas gradually dried up, leaving behind colossal layers of salt kilometers thick. Later, when the water returned, these salt layers were buried under sediment. Over time, the pressure from the overlying sedimentary layers caused the salt to begin moving due to its plastic nature and buoyancy. The salt tends to rise through cracks in the earth, forming structures known as salt domes. When seawater seeps into these cracks and comes into contact with the salt, it dissolves a large amount of it, creating an extremely concentrated solution. This solution is so heavy that it cannot mix with the surrounding seawater. Instead, it sinks to the bottom and accumulates in depressions, gradually forming brine pools. Additionally, there are other mechanisms, such as in polar regions, where the freezing process expels salt to create a hypersaline solution, or in areas with strong tectonic activity, where water is heated and dissolves minerals before returning to the surface. All of these processes contribute to the creation of these pools of death deep at the bottom of the ocean. Among the many brine pools discovered, one of the most famous is the Jacuzzi of Despair, located in the Gulf of Mexico. This name is no coincidence, as its level of danger is almost absolute. Although its size is only comparable to a small swimming pool, the salt concentration inside can reach about 40%, so high that any creature touching it is almost instantly killed. Around the edge of the pool, a ring of corpses of unfortunate creatures often appears, creating a scene that is both bizarre and terrifying. Interestingly, no matter how extreme the environment is, the salt concentration still has a limit. When the water reaches saturation, it cannot dissolve any more salt and will begin to crystallize. This prevents the formation of pools with salt concentrations so high that they exceed a liquid state. And it is precisely this liquid state that makes them so dangerous, because creatures can accidentally swim into them without realizing it. Paradoxical as it may sound, life still exists around brine pools, but not large creatures. Rather, they are extreme mobile microorganisms capable of adapting to harsh environments. They do not rely on oxygen or light, but use chemical reactions to generate energy, such as oxidizing sulfur or methane. These microorganisms form thick mats around the boundaries of the pool, serving as the foundation for a microecosystem. From there, some larger organisms like tube worms or small crustaceans can live near the area by utilizing the nutrients from the microorganisms. However, almost no creature can survive inside the brine pool itself, as the conditions there exceed the adaptive capabilities of multicellular organisms. Brine pools are not only a bizarre natural phenomenon, but also one of the key elements helping humans understand life in the universe. The conditions inside these pools are similar to what scientists predict exists in extraterrestrial oceans, like those on Europa or Enceladus, which have high pressure, lack oxygen, and contain many toxic chemicals. Studying the microorganisms living in brine pools helps scientists better understand the potential for life to exist in extreme conditions, thereby opening up possibilities for the search for extraterrestrial life. Furthermore, these pools act as natural time capsules, where sedimentary layers are preserved almost intact, providing valuable information about Earth's climatic and geological history. These saltwater pools at the bottom of the ocean are one of the clearest proofs that nature can create environments that are both bizarre and incredibly dangerous. Just one small mistake can lead to almost instantaneous death, but at the same time, they also provide profound insights into life in the universe. If you found this content interesting, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos.